Back in the building, Jonathan Jones, thoughts here on the Raiders who, quite convincingly, as Gino said, go on the road in some weather and do exactly what you're looking to do.
Yeah, I mean, it was a two-score game for most of the game. There was that junk field goal there at the end to make it a one-score game. But the Raiders really in control of this contest the entire time. Geno Smith picking up where he left off last season. And look, he has a new offensive coordinator. I think one of the things that people have forgotten is that Chip Kelly's the offensive coordinator. He's back in the NFL, and he is with the Raiders. And so when you're able to have a quarterback like Geno, and we have seen this for the last couple of years, go out there and to throw 300-plus yards is nothing to Geno right now. Yeah. But we just talked about his wide receiver group, or should I say a lack of a wide receiver group, right? Because Amari Cooper comes in, and then he says, this life ain't for me. I'm going to go ahead and retire. And you're looking around, Jacoby Myers, is there anybody else out there? Yeah. But you get 97 receiving yards from Jacoby Myers. You get more than 100 from Brock Bowers, and that was just in 3 quarters of play. He did leave because of a knee, but after the game, Pete Carroll said, look, he actually wanted to go back in, but because we were in such control of the game, we held him off.
It was an interesting performance here. Both sides of the ledger as we try and figure out who's who and what is what in week one. But anytime you can do what Geno and this offense did in week one, put on tape that sort of performance through the air. We were talking about the ease of defending a team that doesn't really, outside of Myers, have that threat downfield. They threatened everywhere on the field in this one, Pat. What did you make of the variability of the offense and their willingness to go to all of those things?
Well, you know, one thing about Pete Carroll, he had some undrafted receivers in Seattle. Yeah. Right? Had some guys who didn't have really homegrown names and found a way to get those guys to Super Bowls. And it's going to be the same thing here with the Raiders. You know, he has a quarterback who he trusts, who he believes. He has a coordinator that he feels like can get the ball in these playmakers who they have on their roster hands, like Ashton Genty. And you have a quarterback who's not going to make mistakes. You have a quarterback who is a walking 300-yard passer week in and week out. And then you have a defensive head coach in Pete Carroll who is going to have his defense geared up and fired up to play whoever they're lining up against. So I like what the Las Vegas Raiders have brought to the table in week one.
Pete Carroll can coach some football, yeah, right? And I was out there with him during training camp, and just the energy that he's dispersed into the entire organization has been felt. And this was a energy-led game for them because you look at the flow of this game, the ebbs and flows, it was kind of in favor of the New England Patriots. Yeah. Now, this is a matchup that had a bunch of unknowns. You talked about new coaching staff, new coordinators, not knowing exactly what you will get from either side, and the Patriots being at home. I, for one, thought the Patriots would have an opportunity to get in the winning column.
That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, nobody was beating the table about the Raiders' defense coming into this season. You've got year 2 of a quarterback you believe in. You've spent a record amount of money on this roster. I mean, it is not, in fact, tricking. If you've got it, they had it. They spent it on this roster, but you come up with 13 points, 3 of them cheap late.
It was about the style of play that we saw from the Raiders and the energy. They all played like they were Max Crosby. Everyone kept their foot on the gas. No one blinked. They continued to run into a burning kitchen and didn't look for water. And that's what made life difficult for Drake May. You talked about the defensive effort. The Patriots couldn't run the football around 3.3 yards per carry. That's not winning football. They sacked Drake May 4 times. Outside of the times they didn't sack him, he was running for his life. So when you look at what Patrick Graham had defensively for the Patriots, it was an issue for them. And like I said, it's all about Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll may be the oldest guy in Las Vegas, but he has the most energy out of anybody in Las Vegas, and shots out to him.
Hey, you are what the tape says you are, and some nice tape here on Vegas under their new head man.